Our next speaker is architect Abhishek Bajracharya, a practicing architect in Nepal with 17 years of professional experience. He is the co-founder of Tattva Consult, established in 2013. He holds a bachelor's degree in architecture from Pulchowk Campus, Institute of Engineering, 2008, and a master's in urban design and conservation from Khwopa College of Engineering, 2018. He currently serves as the Deputy General Secretary of the Society of Nepalese Architects and is a visiting faculty member at Thapathali Campus, Institute of Engineering. His diverse portfolio includes hospitals, residences, educational institutions, community housing, and public facilities. Notably, he won the National Design Competition for the Republic Memorial in 2009, organized by the Government of Nepal. Please welcome architect Abhishek Bajracharya.
Hello, Namaste, and Assalamu Alaikum. I'm architect Abhishek Bajracharya, just been introduced by the MC. I'm very happy to be here. I'm very grateful to IAPEX Pakistan and Karachi chapter for having me here as one of the speakers in the IPX 2025. So I can see very familiar faces over here who have visited Kathmandu, one of the most beautiful cities in the world, like Fawad Bhai, Bisma over here, Arif Saab, Sabkuch. So here I'm talking about one of the issues in the historic areas of Kathmandu, where the vehicles are encroaching the wonderful streets, the streetscapes of Kathmandu Valley. All right. So just moving towards the presentation, I would like to introduce the ancient Kathmandu Valley, which has the history of more than 2,000 years, where it used to have Kathmandu as the main city for more than 1,500 years. It was only in 13th century when Kathmandu was divided into Kathmandu, Lalitpur, and Bhaktapur during the Malla region. It was in the 5th century to 10th century during the Lichvi period when the Kathmandu Valley had the most golden period of art and architecture. Well, in 13th century, during the Malla region, the advancement of the art and architecture, it took place in the form of lifestyle, culture, and architecture style. Well, it also has 7 UNESCO World Heritage Sites within the whole Kathmandu Valley. And me, myself, also being the Newar, the inhabitants from the time immemorial, from 1,500 years, we are the ones who are holding the social cultural aspects of the Kathmandu Valley since then. So talking about the urban fabric of the historic towns, it comprises of the palaces, the market squares, the temples, moving outward with the neighborhoods which are connected with the narrow streets, the streets which are being connected with the squares and everything. Well, we have it on the higher caste system which lead towards the palace areas, and then slightly moving outward with the lower caste areas with the connected with the funeral ghats along the bank of a river. So you can see the palace at the center with the neighborhood around the palace area with the number of market squares, and also being connected with this number of streets over there, with the temples and the funeral ghats where the cremation takes place, and then you have the river flowing towards the outside. So if you talk about the urban fabric of the houses over there, the houses are mainly very rectangular in size with 6 meters by 9 meters, and also not of the large in terms of height. It's only 4-storied buildings with made of brick, the mud mortar, and timber. More the intricate design of the houses it showed the social status of the people living in there. So also, like I explained earlier, the neighborhoods are connected with the networks of streets, which leads to the alleys and squares built of bricks or stone. The street width is more or less about 4 meters to 7 meters the width. So you can see the houses over here. I mean, the more the typical design of the house, the more the social status are being decided. So typically, like I explained, it was only during the 13th century when Kathmandu was ruled by the Malla region, but during the 10th century, it was founded by King Lichavi King Gungamadev, who established the city in the form of a Devi's sword. For example, you can see the shape of the city over here as a sword, as a type of size of the sword over here, with the temples being around the periphery of the city. The historical area has been divided into further 3 parts, which known as Thane in north, that's on the top side over here. The Datu, that means center, at the center over here, which comprises of the palaces area. And at the southern end, we have Kone, the lower part. So this is a graphical representation of the historical area of Kathmandu city. You can see the palace area at the center, with the river flowing on the western side. So Kathmandu Metropolitan City Culture Heritage Conservation Zone has divided our historic core area into 3 parts, mainly in terms of the preserved monument zone, where you have at the center, you can see the World Heritage Site of the Kathmandu Square, and the blue patches over there. These are the historic streets that has been there for the last 1,500 years, with the residential units on the outer side with the old settlement zone. And these 3, I mean, they have the different kind of bylaws according to the importance of the spaces over there. So getting into the issues, I mean, like I explained earlier, the streets of historic core area were never designed for vehicles, but only for the gods and their people, for their activities. The streets were designed with the human scale in mind, but now that the lifestyle has changed, I mean, the people's needs, they have gradually changed with the time. The vehicular activities have started encroaching the narrow streets of Kathmandu Valley. For example, you can see it's merely a 4-meter road where you have a car over there and a bike over there. I mean, they're like almost touching each other during the congestion time. This is a 6th century shrine which has been hit by speeding vehicles. And also over here, we can see the Pating Darbar Square, one of the World Heritage Sites, being enclosed with the traffic congestion during the evening, during the peak times of the year. So my research area includes the Kumari Jatra route. That is one of the most vibrant festivals that we celebrate during September. So this has been celebrated in Kathmandu Valley for the last 250 years, but the procession is taken around the area where it has been carved as the heritage zone for the last 1,800 years. So all these parts that the procession takes place is like the area that reminiscent of the medieval period area, which comprises of grand palaces, squares, market squares, and the old residential blocks. Here you can see on the picture that these, I mean, the chariot at the center with 2 blocks over there. It's merely a 4-meter space that the chariot of the goddess has to pass through. So like I said, the research area, the upper part on the northern side is known as the Thane, and the lower part you have the Kone over here. And every day the procession passed through the Kathmandu Darbar Square, the World Heritage Site. Uh, it was like during 1969, the architect Carl Prusa had published, he had done the research in the historic core areas, historic settlements of Kathmandu Valley, where he had mentioned that if we were not able to prevent the vehicles encroaching the streets of historic core area, we could possibly lose the monuments or lose the essence of heritage pretty soon. So it was in 1969, it was already mentioned, it was already proposed, recommended by the Carl Prusa. So there were few attempts during 1980s and 2000 that the first ever pedestrianization scheme was stamped during the only in the Kathmandu Square area, but it got failed due to the mismanagement of the authorities over there. There were studies like Kathmandu Sustainable Urban Transport Project, KSUTP, which had also talked about the pedestrianization of the historic, the narrow streets of the historic core areas in 2014, which unfortunately had to be cancelled because of the 2015 earthquake in Nepal. So there was also the pedestrianization process applied in the streets of Tamil around in 2017, but it got cancelled. It got knocked out during the COVID because it was not implemented well. So there has been the attempts of, like the current attempt of pedestrianizing the street in the historical area. These are the pictures from one of the earliest capitals of Kathmandu Valley, the Visalnagar during the 5th century. Now the people are doing a no vehicle zone only on Saturdays over there. So you can see people enjoying the streets, the ambience of the street. They're enjoying the food over there, the children playing on the streets over there. So talking about the first day of the Kumari Jagara route, it starts from the Kathmandu Square over here, then it gets the clockwise axis over there. So each and every the streets that we pass through is the main nodal spaces over there. For example, starting with the Basantapur, or let's say Kathmandu Square on the top over there, with the Jaisirigal, Lagan over here, the big square, and the Brahmotol over there. And it again passes to Jaisirigal at the center, goes around the clockwise in Vincentstown, and ends up in the Kumarikar. That's the abode of the goddess Kumari. So you can see the monuments along the way of the corner area. You have lots of temples, beautiful temples, starting from the Kastamanda, which is like 5th century structure, with Otkunaran temple, 16th century, Jaisirigal, 17th century. And this is one of the other procession of God Jan Bahadur, which happens which happens during the March, April. The Lagan space over here, which is circumambulated in over here. The Sesnaran temple and the Bingchen temple also. So these all are these structures that has been there for like last 500 years, and one of these has been there for like 1500 years. Talking about the core area again, it's a densely packed residential units with only 4 to 7 meters wide road, with a number of floors that goes up to 5 to 8 floors high. So as a typical urban blocks, you have the lower blocks being used for the commercial spaces, but the higher blocks, higher floors being used as the residential places. So streets over here, you can see some of the asphalt or the blocks, and some have the stones at some points. So these are the pictures that been pictured when there was a lot of the congestion in the corner area. The streets are mainly packed during the office hours, the school hours, the peak office hours, for example, 8 to 11 in the morning and 4 to 7 in the evenings over there. So during the survey, during the research, I found out that the traffic congestion, the environmental issues, the structural issues where the complaints, where the major feedbacks given by the residents over there. So with the lack of with the lack of parking spaces, designated parking space, the vehicles are being parked on the streets, on the residential courtyards over here. You can see the vehicles being parked on the residential courtyard, on the streets over here, on the squares. The second day, it includes the Thane area, which is also one of the most important in the terms of the historic ancient trade route that goes back from India to Tibet since 5th century. So these all, the circumambulation you can see is on the clockwise side, which starts from the Kathmandu Darbar Square, the Bajracharya Darbar Square, and goes around over there. And there's one more square, which is very famous, Asan Square, which has been the market center for last 600 years. So you can see the number of monuments in the Thane area. The Asan Square, where the market space is centered around for the last 600-700 years. The temples like ranging from 8th centuries, Akasvarup Temple, and one of the most largest residential courtyard over there. And you can see even at the center, there's a Desimaruja, means the intricately carved traditional window, which has only one copy in all Nepal over here. The last day is also the Thane area, which cuts out at the center. For example, the second day, it includes this larger portion, which passes to Asan, but on the last day, it passes through the midsection over here, which also includes the monument like Itum Bahal, which is 13th century Buddhist monastery space over there. Like in Kone area, the highly dense, this is much more highly dense mixed residential urban blocks with the blocks ranging from the 5 to 10 stories high with very narrow streets over there. Like you can see the transformation of space that goes in over here with the small courtyard, but the buildings are way too high with the parking being used over there as a special box. In the same case, the traffic congestion during the peak hours, like 8 a.m. and 8 to 11 a.m., and also in the evening, 4 to 7 p.m. over there. The same issue with the parking. The public squares, the streets, the residential courtyards are being used as the parking spaces due to the lack of the open parking spaces around the historic core area. So with the findings, the major factors for increasing vehicular activities within the historic core area, that what we felt was there are 4 main parameters over there. The change in the urban land use pattern, the area and population density, the mobility approach, and the pedestrian behavior. So the change in land use pattern, that was after 1934 earthquake, the land use pattern changed dramatically. What used to be only 4-story houses now were being built about 5 or 8-story high buildings over there. So the residential blocks being changed into the mixed-use blocks with commercial spaces on the lower floors and the residential spaces on the upper floors. The retail, you can see the retail shops, the offices, eateries, and in some cases, banks and cooperatives occupy the building, which were not of the standard provided by the government. So there were also the illegal increment of the number of floors. The KMC has increased, the Kathmandu Metropolitan City has increased the floor area ratio dramatically just to raise the tax, which resulted in the higher number of stories of the building, which was supposedly to be 45 feet in the initial, but it happens to be 75 feet minimum in the historic core area, which makes no sense at all. So we can see that the more the number of floors, more the number of people, and the more the number of people, the more the number of vehicles over there. Like in there, the courtyards, the squares are being used as the parking spaces. You can see just a few, 2 dramatic changes in the picture. Lagan area, which was pictured during 1970s. It has a beautiful the skylines over there. But in now, I mean, present context, you have the buildings which has been turned into more of the like commercial spaces. Also because Kathmandu is a center for different aspects in terms of economic, in terms of social. Lots of the people are they're coming into the Kathmandu Valley, so the population and also the household numbers are being increased dramatically. It says 1.09 per annum for the average population of the core area only, and 2.8% for the household numbers over there. And also, the historic core area only covers 0.65 kilometers, 65 square kilometers, whereas the streets inside the historic core area, it covers 0.035 square kilometers, which is only of the 4.5% of the built spaces. The standard of the government of Nepal, it has been 15% minimum for the roads, but we can argue that the streets in the historic core area existed much before than these standards came out. So mobility approach, we can say, I mean, the historic core area, the streets of historic core area has been used as the method for the shortcuts only, because you have different settlements living outside the historic core area, which uses the street of the historic core area as the shortcuts, as a short medium to pass through the one end of the city to the other end of the city. You can see that over here. For example, these nodes are very much congested during the peak hours of the time. This was a short study that I did for the vehicle and the pedestrian observations, which stated, I mean, the Austin was most, I mean, Pulchowk was most traffic congested area. Second comes the Austin, which these two boats are the part of the historic market centers, which has been there for a long time now. So recently in New Road area, I mean, this has been a kind of a change in our lives, because it used to be the two-way vehicular area over there with very minimum width of the footpaths. So right now the KMC has extended the footpath by 1 meter, which has resulted in a good social ambience, but you can see the traffic congestion still remains the same. What we feel is without giving the proper traffic route to the people, the congestion is going to be the same over there. So that's the second part, where we have the these 4 or 5 positions where the traffic congestion takes place for a long time now. So the Lagan, which I showed the picture with the true contrasting from 1970s, it is the most congested during the peak hours, and second is the JC level, where the lots of vehicles coinciding over there. This as the JC level, and this is the Lagan area over here. So other thing is the congestion. It is the result of the pedestrian behavior too. You can see the people are doing the shopping while getting into the bikes. They won't like to get off the bike, park it somewhere, and then come out of shopping. But they do the bike shopping over there. You can even see the structures being demolished with the cars and the vehicles. The other one is the dumping the construction materials into the street for the construction process over there. And also the extended part of the market space in the narrow streets, which results in the congestion of the streets over there. And I suppose the rules are meant to be broken, so that's why there's one guy who is removing the no vehicle no vehicle signage from the street just to get his vehicle passed on through that one. And you can see here people parking the vehicles with a clear noticing of no parking signboards. So this is just one example of encroachment of one of the biggest courtyards in Kathmandu Valley, Tebal. You can see it was, the pictures were taken in 3 different times. During the morning times, it only includes the vehicles from the residents over there. During the daytime, you have like the whole space is being covered with the vehicles, both the 2-wheelers and the 4-wheelers over there. And the night time, it also, it comes back to the same situation in the morning. This wall, like I said, the land use pattern, the change of land use pattern has resulted the buildings being turned into commercial spaces more than the residential spaces. So there are like too many shops, too many offices coming around in this square. So all the parkings are being done on the courtyards over here. So let's say the conclusion we would like to have, we have been celebrating the urban life, the tangible and intangible heritage for a long, long time now. But the haphazard and the unplanned modern development, changing lifestyle, they are threatening to the heritage of we have been celebrating for long. The narrow but historic streets are being encroached by vehicles. The courtyards, the public squares are being used as parking lots. The government efforts, which we have decided that the no vehicle zone, faced failures because of the improper management over there. Well, despite this, the people are very connected to their spaces. They know that what has been done, what is being done with the streets is not correct way, but they have not been provided with the better options of the vehicular problems over there. So they are very much ready to get along with the new rules if they are provided better options. So conclusively, I would say the limiting vehicles in the historic area will be leading to the safer environment with the good ambience. You can see on top where people are enjoying the shopping over here, people enjoying the musical thing over here, and also the preservation and the admiration of the heritage for the young generations. And also with the less vehicular movement in the historic areas like in Kathmandu Valley, the economic increment is supposedly to increase a lot. So this is the last slide where you can see the temple square in the central, in the Kathmandu Square area. That is from 1940s, where you can see the old structures over here, the Rana style, the pagoda style over there. And at the center, you have the Makhan with the vehicles thronging around. And now that the KMC has implanted the no vehicle zone in that particular area, the state is almost the same, but you can see the change in the type of the buildings over here, which is like from 3 to 4 stories that goes high up to 5, 6 stories over there. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Architect Abhishek, for your insightful narrative.